Welcome to Bet On It. This is an exciting week, mainly because I'm hoping there's not going to be a bunch of square underdogs that cash. Excited to talk to Marco and VR and see what's on the agenda. Lots of you have been asking about college football. Bet On It with no Big Ten, no Pac-12. We kind of just said, you know what, we're going to hang tight. But what we've decided to do is give you guys a little special treat, starting with the Saturday, October 24th games. And that is bringing you a Bet On It college segment right here on your regular Bet On It show. I know it's not a full-on college football Bet On It show, but we're going to give you guys what you've been asking for as soon as the Big Ten starts. Let's bring in my favorite guys this week, Marco D'Angelo, Gianni the Greek Gambler. Gentlemen, are you ready for NFL week number 4? I feel like I've aged 100 years in the last 2 weeks.
It's been a great time, Kelly. We had a good show last week, and man, we got some powerhouse games this week, and I can't wait to dig into that Thursday night game. That's like the best game on the card.
I mean, God, I don't know which was worse, the presidential debates or this Thursday night game we're going to have on deck. Now, we've seen how bad the Broncos O-line played. We know that Jeff Driscoll didn't get the job done for me on Sunday. Now, Brett Rypien is the quarterback. Not sure what's going on here with John Elway's decision. The line has now plummeted for the Thursday night game. Marco, I'm going to go to you first. The Denver Broncos now a pick'em at the Westgate, total of 39.5. Now, we do see some -1s floating around, some 30s. So it looks like some under monies come in here, and rightfully so. All of the Broncos games have gone under the total. Marco, your thoughts on Thursday night?
Well, Kelly, we joked at the beginning, but what a mess this game is. You've got two 0-3 teams that they just can't get out of their own way. Denver's going to be starting Rypien, as you said. This is going to be their third starting quarterback of the season. This is their 9th starting quarterback since 2017. Now, I know you're a big Denver Bronco fan, and hopefully you're not buying a jersey for each quarterback, because that's a small fortune if you go out and buy, a new jersey. I mean, those jerseys, the authentic
You're
ones.
right.
I know
I've just had a Von Miller jersey for the last 5 years, knowing that was the right move. All jokes aside, though, Marco, I know when to bet against this team. I'm just not sure this is a spot I want to touch either one of these games.
No, I mean, both offenses are horrendous, but the problem is for Denver, Kelly, is they're traveling on a short week. That's bad enough. They're playing a team. Normally, they try to have division games on these Thursday night games, so at least you're familiar with your opponent. You play them twice a year. That's not the case for the Broncos and the Jets. And this is their second trip to the East Coast in 3 weeks. And then, as I said, do it on a Thursday. That's a tall order. Now, the Broncos did sign Blake Bortles. Oh, my. I know that just got you all warm and fuzzy, Kelly. Blake Bortles. But, they just signed him last week, playing on a short week. There's no way they could have went with him. And Fangio's already said that both quarterbacks are going to see action. Well, the old saying about two quarterbacks. If you're using two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And I lean to the Jets by default, but here's what I'm really going to do with this game. And I know it's kind of sitting on the fence. I'm telling you, I lean to the Jets. I am hoping one of these two teams become a clear 1.5-point favorite. If I get to one of these teams on game day to the favorite, I will hook up a teaser with something for Sunday, taking them through the numbers, the 3, the 4, the 6, the 7, because points are going to be a premium. We're looking at a low total, 39.5. You give me over a touchdown with either team, I got to look at that, because these two teams aren't scoring points. So that's where I'm looking to play the game if I'm going to find value. Am I going to be involved in the game for a side? Probably not, but I do lean to the Jets.
All right, VR, have you seen anything on your accounts for this game? I don't think I want to get involved. And also, do I think that Brett is a drop-off from Jeff Driscoll? Maybe a half a point. I mean, we're talking backup quarterbacks here. These guys there's not that much disparity here. I'm just wondering if you guys have seen anything. It looks like the under is getting a little bit of play. Anything to report on your end?
Yeah, we bet the Jets at +3. I didn't release it to my subscribers. I didn't use it as a premium play. I wasn't sure if it was a legit move because when it's on a key number, you got to be cautious, especially primetime games where you know the line's going to move. The opportunity to set up a middle is right there, especially with a total that's low, below 40, where points are at a premium. So because I couldn't confirm the move, I didn't fire. With that said, power rating wise, the Jets are the better team, even though Denver's played better. And what I mean by that is Denver may be 0-3, but they're 2-1 against the spread. They haven't underperformed against the betting market. In fact, the first 2 weeks of the season, they lost by a combined 6 points. There's a lot of randomness to those outcomes. On the flip side, you look at the Jets, they're minus right now 31 ATS margin. That's going to regress. That's a certainty. And I think that's why you saw the short move immediately grab the 3 points with the Jets. Win or lose, it looks like the value side. I think power rating wise, most reflect that's the value side. Doesn't mean you're going to cash a ticket. So I agree with that. Also, I use this, we'll share it on the teaser segment, because if you look up on the board right now, there's a bunch of square books that still have Denver as a 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite at FanDuel's or DraftKings. So obviously, it's a nice situation to set up a teaser because of the low total. Even though I didn't bet the under, like the under myself, it just makes sense on a teaser. But again, like I said, we moved on the Jets. I didn't use it as a play. I lean that side. Looks like the value side. Again, probably tease it.
All right, VR, I'm going to stick with you. This Sunday night game, on paper, before the season started, looked like it was going to be absolutely awesome. Philadelphia headed to San Fran. This one opened 3.5, now up to 7 over at the Westgate. Total 45.5. We do have a 7.5 over at an offshore book, which is really interesting, moving off that key number, trying to protect themselves and or bait somebody into betting the Eagles. I don't know if I want any part of this one either. Do you have anything to report from your guys as far as the Sunday night slate goes?
No, nobody got involved on this game. Initial read, it probably looks like the San Francisco is given a little too many points here. But also, it appears to be warranted. I fear that the Eagles are going to be a hot pick this week. I've already looked into a couple of back end of a book, and I'm seeing a lot of Eagles money already, Eagle teasers, getting them up to double digits, because not only is this team 0-2-1, but they're 0-3 against the spread. And 0-3 ATS teams, they attract some money. You know, a team's going to cover eventually. At least, you know, the do factor, you see a lot of that in sports betting, but there's not all that much to like with the Eagles. Analytically, they're one of the worst teams in all football. In fact, DVOA, they're 29th. Only the Giants, the Jets, and Denver have produced worse analytics than they have. They are 28th in offense. This is a team that is having trouble moving the ball, having trouble putting up points. And with an average defense, you're not going to win many football games doing that. Again, they needed overtime to crack 20 points. So 4 quarters wasn't enough for this team to get 20 points. They needed more than 4 quarters. That scares me. But I'm in no position to lay 7 points with San Francisco. Undecided quarterback. Obviously, based on this number, it looks like Garoppolo's a go. If books are willing to book it, I have my confidence more with the bookmakers. So I think he's a go. And San Francisco, coming off a first home loss, now returning home after 2 road games, rest assured, they're coming out to win this football game. So I think a teaser on San Francisco looks like the best bet here, where they're just, so they don't start the season 0-2 at home against a weak Eagle team. But I can't fault bettors for taking the 7 on the Eagles, because it looks attractive for a team that was supposed to compete for the NFC East. Fortunately for me, Dallas is going to win this division 8-8. They'll be able to win the division. So my future will still be live. Otherwise, it was dead in the water. But thank God the rest of the division's terrible. And Eagles are one of those bad teams right now. So I'd be careful backing them.
Marco. I see your notes on this game, and I know you have a bet on it later. How much do we hate ourselves to bet the Eagles this week?
Well, you're going to have to wait and find out a little bit later in the show, because this is one of the special plays. I am on this game. I do like it. It is a play I actually released to my clients. So we'll have that a little later in the show, Kelly. I'll just have to tease you with it for right now.
Oh, for the love of God.
What scares me real quick, Kelly, is Pinnacle went to 7.5.
That's what I was mentioning a minute ago. That makes me very nervous.
That's what made me second guess Philly. When Pinnacle, who opened 6 and takes the biggest openers, goes through that 7, you got to pay attention. That's the only thing that worried me with the 7 points, because it did look attractive power rating wise, but when Penny goes off that key 7, you got to be alert.
That definitely will always have a little circle around it, something to keep pay attention to. Don't forget, guys, we have Monday Night Football bet on it, special edition every single Monday. So we'll talk about the Monday Night Football game. Going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to look at the 12-day number from the Westgate in our Look Ahead line segment. Football is here, and the Gold Sheet, the nation's oldest sports betting newsletter, is back for its 63rd year, bigger and better than ever. Gold Sheet has a new, improved web-based, mobile-friendly format that includes all of the winning information you rely on with the easiest access ever. While the format is new, all of the features you are accustomed to are still there. That's right, analysis on every pro and college game, key release selections, updated power ratings on every team, point spread logs for all NFL and college teams, and all college football games through May 2021 will be included. To celebrate joining the Wager Talk family, we are offering our subscribers our best deal ever. Sign up for a season of any Gold Sheet product and get $200 in Wager Bucks as a bonus. Wager Bucks can be used to purchase handicapping information from any of our 40-plus experts on Wager Talk or sportsmemo.com. Head to goldsheet.com/WagerTalk for any subscription and bonus details.
Every Monday at wagertalk.com, all plays are just $9. This even includes top-rated 5% plays, which normally sell for $40. There's no better day to get winning picks than $9 Mondays at wagertalk.com and our sister site, sportsmemo.com.
All right, it's now time to look at those look-ahead lines from our friends over at the Westgate. Now, we don't have a ton of games to look at here, but the ones we do have had some interesting line moves. Marco, I'm going to start with you. Indianapolis at Chicago. This one opened to pick up now -2.5. I'm not sure the Colts should be 2.5 point road favorites to anybody just yet, but I know you think the Chicago Bears team is pretty lucky. So lucky that they even cashed for you against Atlanta Falcons against me on Sunday.
Oh, they had them all the way, Kelly, right where we wanted them. If you're playing the Atlanta Falcons, you don't want to be ahead. You want to be behind, okay? And that's that's how you win the games against the Falcons in those fourth quarter meltdowns. But Kelly, you look at this, and there's no question about it. The Bears are the luckiest 3-0 team in football. They've come from behind twice and were life and death in the other one. Yeah, this move's justified in my opinion. And, Chicago got the move that they wanted. No more Mitchell Trubisky. So I'm a little surprised that Vegas went ahead and did that. But I think this is a game I'm going to talk a little more detail later in the show as well. But I say this move is justified.
All right, VR. The Los Angeles Chargers at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opened a 4.5 point favorite, now up to 7. Well, what happened last week? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely demolished the Denver Broncos. And oh, by the way, the Chargers lost outright at home to the Panthers.
Yeah, as pretty much touchdown favorites, at least they opened that way. And you have Tampa Bay coming off back-to-back wins where they scored 28 and 31 points. So it's expected, but I don't think it's warranted, meaning the books needed to do that because they're going to get a ton of Tampa Bay money straight up, and they're going to get even more on a teaser. So as a bookmaker, I'm not surprised. This probably should be 8. But the reason it isn't is because wise guys like the Chargers side, as we'll cover when we talk about the steam play later.
All right. Marco, the Ravens couldn't get it done for me at home on Monday night. They take on the football team. Pretty crazy to cash that Browns ticket. I'm still floored that I laid a touchdown with the Browns, but the bookmakers don't seem to care. Baltimore opened -12, now 13.5. How does a team off an ugly home loss, how does their stock go up? I don't get it.
Yeah, Kelly, it's not often you see a team lose and the line goes up. But for one thing that you said, I got to yell fake news. Did you say you bet a favorite? What? That doesn't happen. Come on.
I bet 4 favorites this weekend. One named the Cleveland Browns. One named, the Atlanta Falcons. We already talked about it. And by the way, the Saints on Sunday. And by the way, the Ravens on Monday night. I'm pretty much done with it now. I went through that phase of going, you know what? I'll just take the square dogs forever and always now.
Well, now that we cleared that up, because I was worried about that, because I mean, according to Twitter, you never play a favorite, ever. I mean, and Twitter's never wrong. We know that. But Kelly, yeah, you've got Baltimore. They lose on Monday Night Football, and yet the line goes up. The stock doesn't work that way. I don't think this move is justified. Yes, Baltimore, if you could look good in losing to a team, well, it should be the Super Bowl champs with Kansas City. But Washington coming back home, I can't justify this move, but it's a number that you went from 12 to 13.5. This game could fall 13. That would be the only key number that we're talking about in here, but not likely unless we get another missed extra point, which we've had a few of those so far this season. But I don't call this move justified.
All right, VR, last but not least, the New York Giants at the LA Rams. The Rams came back from a huge deficit at halftime to put the Bills pretty much on the ropes. I'll take that lucky PI call to bail me out there. But the Giants actually got smacked in the face by a banged up Niners team. Rams opened -9, now -13. Can you speak to the actual numerical move there, since we're not going through any really key numbers? Did the bookmakers just want to protect themselves from a teaser situation here, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't a case of nonstop limit bets at those numbers. You have 10 in there. Yeah, if it doesn't get to 14, it don't mean all that much. Again, I think you had to do it because of just how bad the Giants looked, and more importantly, they gave up. If there was another quarter, San Fran would have scored another 3 touchdowns and the Giants would have had 0 more points. That's what that game looked like, and I think that's the problem. Where with the Rams, now you're going to run into the number 1 offense, at least value over average in the NFL. There's no one playing better. And when you have a defense with the Giants that are second half in the league, that's going to create some problems, especially on the road. So I'm not laying in front of it. I didn't lay the points with the Rams. I didn't jump out ahead. But I think it's warranted. I think the books had to do it. Like you said, defend that teaser, because now you're bringing them down to where they just got to win by a touchdown. That don't look too difficult. And we know in the NFL, pick the winner, you're going to cover the spread more times than not. And I think this is one of those instances where the sportsbook's saying, let's let these point spreads hopefully matter a little bit, and where it isn't where you just have to pick the winner. Because if that's the case, and the favorites just keep winning and covering, that's not a good outcome for the book. So I think that's just a reflection of the last few weeks.
All right, let's go on to one of our audience favorites, the teaser segment. I'm excited to hear who you guys have for this week. Marco, we're going to go to you first. Now, looking at your teaser, it looks just so easy. I'm trying to figure this one out. Those ones always make me a little nervous. Tell everybody what your teaser is for NFL Week 4.
Well, there's a couple in the same situation, Kelly, that I bypassed that we could say looks easy too, and I tried to avoid what might be the traps. And I look at this one, and we're going to start with Tampa Bay. We're teasing them down. We're asking them just to win the game. And yeah, I'm going to jump on the Tom Brady bandwagon for a week, and why not? I just don't see the Chargers coming east and going into Tampa and getting a win. Brady has gotten better each week. He looks more and more comfortable in Arians' offense. He's only going to get better as we go. In the Chargers, if there's one team that has taken steps backwards, forget the one game. Everybody's going to look at the game against Kansas City. I think they caught Kansas City in the mother of all sandwich spots, and I'm really kicking myself for not having that as the sandwich game that week. They got them off the Thursday night game and in between the Monday night game coming up. After that, they didn't do anything against the Cincinnati defense that is putrid. And then last week, they got beat by Carolina. I'm not looking for them to go on the road and win outright. That's how I have to lose the first half of this teaser. I don't see it. The second half of the teaser, if this would be Kansas City playing any other team in the NFL this week, I would be concerned about a letdown because they are coming off that big Monday night win. It was a statement game for both teams. Kansas City wanted to prove that last year was no fluke, and Baltimore wanted to prove, hey, we screwed up. It should have been us in the AFC Championship game with you, and we didn't let that happen. Well, they made their statement. They made it pretty definitively on Monday Night Football that right now they're the best team in the NFL. New England's coming to town. I don't care if they're with Brady or without Brady. It's New England and it's Belichick. They're not going to take them lightly, and this is the one team that has given them problems over the last few years, so they're going to take it serious. And do you see Cam Newton trading points with Mahomes? Yeah, he looked good in his other road game at Seattle, but have you watched the Seattle defense at all this year? They're not good, and that's why Russell Wilson's putting up the numbers that he does. Pete Carroll knows he's got to keep scoring because that defense can't stop anybody. I'll take Kansas City at home just to win the game. Yeah, call me Square Bear maybe with this teaser, but that's where the positive EV is on playing this week's teasers.
I get it, and VR agrees with you at least on one of your legs. VR, who is your teaser for NFL Week 4?
Yeah, and like last week, I didn't give it out a teaser last week as a premium bet, and I haven't so far this week. But again, I've explained what I look for teasers and the reason you should use them. And last night, Denver was 1 everywhere, so I gave the Jets because you're getting them up to 7. Now, if you could only get them up to 6, I would exchange them with any one of these teams. And the teams that fit the criteria of the Stanford Wong teaser real quickly are Chicago, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, San Francisco, and Green Bay. One of those 5 teams, those were what fit that plus EV teaser if you're teasing numbers. So I would say KC and probably, I don't know, because I like the Chargers, Green Bay at home just to win, or San Fran at home just to win. Any of those 7.5 down to 1.5, because again, that's the only reason I would use a teaser.
Thank you, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we have VR Steam Game of the Week. And kind of got to figure out the deli's back open with Marco. Oh, and my favorite guy, Ralph Michaels, with some TNA.
If you like betting on horses, be sure to check out WagerTalk.com's own Sig, who zeroes on one racetrack at a time, offering his handicapping skills. Visit his homepage daily for his top selection in each race free. If you want all his selections for that track, you can get his full racing report for just $9.
And we're back. All right, VR, I have an idea of which Steam game might be in play this week, just looking at the numbers, but I'm excited to hear who it is. All right, VR, here comes the freight train. Tell me who your Steam game is.
Yeah, I got a little treat for the watchers and listeners here. It's on the Chargers Tampa Bay, and the reason I chose this game is because we steamed the side and the total. So I could give you a little bonus pick instead of just one. You could grade it however. If it goes 1-1, you could grade the one as the loser as my pick. I don't care. Again, I'm on here trying to make you better bettors, more efficient bettors. Even if I have a great year of picks, we're going to give 15, 20 picks here. Even if you go 60, 65%, you're going to pick up a couple positions, not going to change your life. Hopefully I make you a better bettor by sharing some wisdom, some knowledge, some experience. Here's what we got down on. Number 1, we've steamed the under. I bet the under 45. Bet the under 44. That's why you're looking at 43s right now, 43.5. There's still some 44s at the sharper shops. If you agree with me, sit back. Rest assured, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, over money's going to come in on Sunday, especially with how this year's NFL has been going. Not too many people want an under ticket in their pocket. Here's why we steam the under. Bottom line, you're looking at one of the best defenses with the Chargers. They're not just... That's how real quickly, this team's 1-2, correct? But they've been covering against the spread because of this defense. The fact they lost that game last week and stayed in it, most teams would have lost that game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. The Chargers lost 4 fumbles last week. They had 4 fumbles in that game against the Panthers. That's so rare to happen. And yet, they were able to keep that within 5 points, excuse me. And then you look at the game against Kansas City and Cincinnati, they split those. They covered both. They outperformed the market. This Chargers team is a lot better than that 1-2 record. That's exactly the kind of team I want to back. And then you look at Tampa Bay coming off those back-to-back covers where they outperformed the market by 19 points. This line was going to be inflated. Up at 7.5, a little bit too high. More importantly, if you look at Tampa, they got some big games coming up against Chicago, against the Green Bay Packers. I could see them overlooking the Chargers here. Look for the Chargers to get the cover in a close game, possibly win this game outright. We took the Chargers plus 7.5 and 7, and the Chargers under 45 and 44. I think I gave it out to subscribers at 44 because it was moving. But again, grade it how you want. We bet the side, we bet the total. That's the Steam Play of the Week.
All right, Marco. And I know the deli is closed, even though I'm really hungry and I was looking forward to a nice sandwich. Marco, tell me who your trap game is for NFL Week 4.
Well, Kelly, we're looking at this one. And, sometimes, Kelly, whenever you're setting a trap, you got to be careful you don't get your fingers snapped off when you're doing it. And, the trap's set here. We got the cheese on it. I got my fingers out before it snaps, so we're okay. But you might be a little queasy when I tell you who we're taking. We're taking the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? Is anybody going to want to bet them this week? Everybody got to see Thursday Night Football. They got pummeled by the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, okay? Now they're going on the road. They're going to play the Cincinnati Bengals. The darling right now, Joe Burrow. He can't do anything wrong. Everybody's in love with him. And I got to admit, he's looked good. There's no question about it. But you know what? There's 2 sides of a football team, an offense and a defense. And if you've watched this Cincinnati Bengal defense, it is bad. They cannot stop anybody running the football. Teams have run the football against them. They're averaging 5 yards a carry in 3 games, 545 yards on the ground. What's that do to a defense? Well, whenever you're giving up yardage like that, running the football, you're going to end up getting burnt on play action passes later on. This is a spot where I think the mustache is going to make some scores here. And for Cincinnati, hey, it's one thing to be an underdog and play close games. Now you're asking them to win and cover. Now everybody's going to look for Cincinnati. They're not ready for the favorites role, win and cover. I'll take Jacksonville plus the points. We're calling for the outright upset. Jacksonville 31-23. Be an exciting game.
Marco, I'm with both you guys on both of these underdogs. Let's have a better weekend, at least on my end, and no epic collapses. Time to bring in our resident stat daddy, Mr. Ralph Michaels. All right, it's TNA time with the database guru himself, Mr. Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV. If you guys are not giving him a follow, he puts out awesome content all over Twitter every single day.
Hey, Cal, I want to start this off with a quick little commercial/promo. This summer, we all had a lot of time on our hands, and I did a lot of work in the database. I hadn't handicapped teasers in the past. And, my good friend Ed Meyer in Cleveland, who has Killer Sports, talks about the value of teasers in certain specific spots. So I've used my top teaser 2 weeks ago, an easy winner, used my top teaser this past week. And when I looked at the games, I'm going to have my first ever 5% NFL teaser. So I wanted to do a test. How many people are watching this TNA segment? This is the only place you can get this coupon. Everyone else will be paying $40. But if you go to my teaser on Saturday or Sunday, it will be up Saturday, hit coupon code TAND, the letter T, A-N-D, the letter A, and you're going to save $22 and pay just $18 for my first ever 5% teaser.
I love it, Ralph. I'm just going to text you for your NFL teaser. Can't wait to check it out. You have a plethora of information for us this week, and I know we have somewhat of a limited time, so I'm just going to let you run with it. I have a few talking points here. I may chime in, but you now have the floor.
Well, let's start off with the best offenses and the worst offenses. I put this question out on Twitter, Kel, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Name the only team in the NFL that has had back-to-back 400-yard performances. Who comes to mind? Seattle, Green Bay, maybe Dallas?
I hope it's not the Buffalo Bills.
It's the LA Rams. The LA Rams are the only team to have 400 yards in each of the first 3 games. So, that really surprised me. No one talks about the Rams offense. Everyone's talking about Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. So that's just a note. So when I looked at teams, this is only the 13th team in NFL history since 1989. And again, guys, when I say NFL history, I mean my database history, which is 1989. So since 1989, they're only the 14th team to do it. And how about this? From 1989 to 2011, those teams went 6-0 ATS. Since that time, they've gone 0-6 ATS after starting the first 3. Again, a small sample size. When I did the opposite, anytime we're going to look at positives, let's look at the negatives. Which 2 teams, this one's much easier to guess, have had under 300 yards each of the first 3 weeks? That, of course, being the New York Giants and the New York Jets. So when I look at these teams that have poor performances the first 3 weeks, going back to 1989, they are actually 36-24, 60% against the spread, game number 4. The home record, 15-15-2, which leaves us with a very good away record. Road teams that gained under 300 yards weeks 1, 2, and 3 are 17-5-1 against the spread, 77% since 1984. Now, do you have enough guts to bet the Giants in that role? I don't think I do, but the number does point out that those teams are embarrassed. They find a way to adjust, and Vegas overcompensates for the line.
All right, Ralph, last week we saw something that doesn't happen all that often, but we saw a coach play for a tie, maybe because that NFC East is so horrible, he thought a 7-8-1 record is somehow going to win the division. All jokes aside, talk to me about the 2 teams off a tie, that is the Bengals and the Eagles.
Well, 26 times in the database. If you blindly look at the teams that played for a tie, the next game they've gone 9-17 against the spread. But as I always do, I break it down home and away. At home, they're 7-6. That's going to leave us a very poor road record. Teams on the road off a tie, 2-11 ATS. And then I started looking
downright ugly.
Yeah, if you're playing for a tie, are you motivated? I guess not. I mean, I guess depending how you got to the tie. Some teams may be motivated. Some teams may feel like it's like a loss. So you really don't know. I mean, if you're the Philly head coach, you probably think it's a win, right? Because you punted with, a minute to go. This one's sort of unique. Not a very big sample size. But, we know the Monday night game probably got a lot of ratings. We're not sure the Thursday game is going to be able to match it with the Jets in Denver. But when I started looking at Thursday night home teams, if you have a Thursday night home team with the lines between the twos, so what does that mean? It means you have a team very similar to you as far as talent goes or record goes. Well, Thursday night home teams, you're not going to be happy to hear this, Kelly, with the lines between the 2.5s. So you're a 2-point favorite, 1-point favorite, 1-point dog, or 2-point dog. 18-6, 75% for the New York Jets.
See, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Now, with this line move, maybe if you had Jets +3, I could see it. But I don't know, now that the Jets are almost moving into the favorite position, this one is probably going to keep me off. One of the questions I have for you is one of the biggest things that kind of just keeps me like a little bit, I'm a little risk adverse on, is big road favorites. The Baltimore Ravens don't get it done on Monday night. The look-ahead line is 12. Now, all of a sudden, they're 13.5-point road favorites to the Washington football team. Do you have any trends one way or another there?
Yeah, a little of both. Because if you look back through the database, big away favorites have been a negative. But we've seen a big switch in the last few years since 2016. We've had a lot of better teams. We've had the Patriots and the Chiefs and the Ravens who go on the road and have been beating people handily. So since 2016, away favorites of 7.5 or more, 33-15, 69%. And in that same time period, away favorites of 12.5 or more, obviously it hasn't happened much. It's only happened 9 times. But those 9 teams, away favorites of 12.5 or more, have gone 6-2-1 against the spread, covering 75%.
I mean, one would think that the Ravens are just a little pissed off this week. All right, last but not least, before you get to your system plays, we have quite a handful of 3-0 teams. You have a trend that either supports them or play against them here.
I will say this. On Wager Talk today, that I do a segment with Prez and Teddy, I broke down every scenario. 3-0 teams versus 2-1, 3-0 versus 1-2, 3-0 versus 0-3. If you want to know all those scenarios, just go back and watch the last 10 minutes of Wager Talk today from Wednesday, September 30th. But I want to give 2 specifics here. 3-0 teams at home versus a non-division foe, with the line being a dog or a favorite up to 6.5. So it sounds like a lot of variables, but it's not that much. 3-0 at home, non-division, either a dog or a small favorite. That's the Chicago Bears this week. 17-4 since 1989, 81% when you're in that role. I will mention it went 1-1 last year, so it actually was 16-3. Last year, Green Bay lost to Philly in that same role, and San Francisco beat Cleveland. But 3-0 home team against a non-division foe with a line as a dog or a favorite up to 6.5. And then here's one I picked out, a 2-1 team versus a 1-2 team. And the 2-1 team is off back-to-back wins and they're a favorite. So they obviously lost their opener. They won week 2. They won week 3. So they're feeling good. They're 2-1. When those teams are a favorite against a 1-2 team, like Tampa Bay is against the Chargers, the Tampa Bay Bucks in a situation where they're 10-20 against the spread, 33%. 10 winners, 30 losers. And I wanted to quickly just go through 2 systems, write these systems down, use them all year long. Road teams off a home game if their opponent allowed 400 more yards last game. So Cleveland, Arizona, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh would have been. They're on the road this week. They played a home game last week, and the team they're playing allowed 400 yards. Those teams in that simple system, 72, 31, and 4. That's 70% against the spread. Again, that applies to Cleveland, Arizona, and Buffalo. And the last one, if you were outgained in your last game and you won that game as a dog and you're now a favorite. So the Green Bay Packers were outgained against the Saints. They won that game as a dog. They are now a favorite against Atlanta next Monday night. Since 2015, 38, 18-2, 68% ATS.
That's a great stat. Thank you to Mr. Ralph Michaels. Again, make sure you guys are giving him a follow on Cal Sports LV. When we return, we've got some really good information from the guys. We got barking dogs and best bets. Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at wagertalk and sportsmemo.com. All right, now it's time for barking dogs. Now, there's quite a few underdogs on this card this week that I have circled. I'm going to have the boys help me navigate through this disaster that was the underdogs for me last week. VR, I'm curious to hear who you have as a barking dog, see if it matches up with my list.
Yeah, I have a barking dog that I think with the points is a great bet, but I think they're live, that they could win this game and get their first home win. And that's the Miami Dolphins against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, granted, listen, Seattle's played extremely well. Not just winning, being 3-0, but they're 3-0 against the spread. And regardless how they did it, they've done it. Not covering by a lot, but by enough. But with that said, what I like about Miami is that offense. They can score. And when you have the 15th most efficient offense, the back door is going to stay open. And you look at the Seattle, that's their weakness. They're in the bottom quarter of the NFL defensively. Now, their special teams has stepped up and helped them. They're second in the NFL, but they're going against a Miami unit that I think's top 5 as well. So for the first time, Seattle's going to be facing a special teams unit that they don't have a huge edge over. And that's going to play a role here for Miami with field position. So look for the Dolphins to keep it close throughout. And with that offense, that back door will be wide open. Don't be surprised if they get the win. But at least at 6.5, I'm waiting to get 7. May lay 20 to do it. I'm not shy. Give me Miami.
All right, VR, I'm with you there. Marco, your barking dog. I have a feeling we're on the same page here. I'm crossing my fingers. I like when we're all on the same team. Marco, who is your barking dog for NFL Week 4?
Well, Kelly, it's the Sunday night game, and it is the Philadelphia Eagles. And, Kelly, who really is going to want the Eagles this week? They are a complete dumpster fire right now. Coming off a tie last week, the team's 0-2-1, and they're playing the 49ers. The 49ers, my God, did you see how good they looked last week? I think somebody had them as a best bet on the show. I can't remember who, but they were a best bet. I got a lot of grief about taking them last week with all those injuries and everything else. But you know what, Kelly? Now I'm going against them because this is the second week of the injured player theory. And for people that aren't familiar with the injured player theory, quite simply what it is you take the injured team in week 1. And the 49ers had a ton of injuries last week. And the rest of the team is going to play at a different level to compensate for the loss. Now, everybody was hammering me last week. Well, Barkley was out for the Giants too. Yeah, there's a difference. The Giants are a shit team and the 49ers are a good team, and they were able to overcome it. Now that they did, and after playing back-to-back weeks on the road, they stayed on the East Coast last week for the second week in a row. They beat the Jets and the Giants. Congratulations. You know, you, me, VR, and a couple other guys would have a chance against the Jets and the Giants. Those teams are horrible. But now they're playing a desperate Philadelphia Eagle team that has nothing to lose. They are 0-2-1, and for most teams, the season would be over already. But they're in the NFC East. Sorry, I said least. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, you know what? The winning team in this division might get the division title of the NFC East with 7 wins. We could have a 7-9 playoff team this year. We had it one other year. I think it was the Seahawks, and they ended up winning their first playoff game against the Saints. I'm all over Philadelphia in this one. I already gave it out earlier in the week to my clients. And we're seeing the line move, which means that Jimmy Garoppolo probably is going to be back for this game. And anybody that's followed me with the injured player theory, that gives you even more advantage when the injured player comes back because you get the inflated line and the other guys relax a little bit because their so-called star is back. But I wouldn't call Jimmy G exactly a star. That's why I said supposed star.
Listen, I don't blame you. I didn't think Nick Mullins did a bad job last week. I don't think that there's much drop-off between the two quarterbacks. I am absolutely terrified. I don't know if I can take the Eagles here. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the ugliest play, and we're only a month in to the NFL season. Speaking of ugly plays, we got some best bets coming up. I know you guys are excited. I will go first. So last year, the best bet segment is where I really did well. I was 12-5 over 17 weeks. This year, not so much. So tread lightly here, but I'm going to take the Raiders +3. Now, the Raiders didn't look that great against the Patriots last week. Now, granted, there was a fumble that didn't go their way, but I do think this Raiders team deserves a little bit more respect than they're getting in the marketplace. Sure, the Bills are 3-0. But they have been kind of shaky in their last 2 games. I know because I laid 2.5 with this team last week versus the Rams. They were very lucky to get bailed out versus the refs. And oh, by the way, what happened 2 weeks prior on the road against Miami? Now, I know A plus B doesn't equal C all the time, but this Vegas squad is better than the Miami Dolphins team. This Vegas squad is better at home, and the Bills have failed to stop the run. I think that's really good news for me. Having Josh Jacobs on my fantasy team, I think that's really good news for me. Having a Raiders +3 ticket in my pocket. VR, I'm going to go to you next. Who is your best bet for NFL week number 4?
Yeah, and I don't think I've done well on my best bets on this show, but here's what I did. Before I went on, I went and checked. I said, let me make sure, because the people should be watching for a reason. And I checked. I'm up for 2020 for the year. That's great news. I'm up in NFL for the year. That's good news. And I'm up in college football for the year. That's good news. And I've won over the last couple of years. That's even better news. So hopefully that carries over into the best bet segment. I can't guarantee it because it is only one play, but I'm on the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, Kelly. And here's why. They haven't played their best football yet. I haven't placed my future on an AFC team. Prior to the season, I told you, I'd pick an AFC and an NFC. I was all in on Dallas. They don't look like a Super Bowl contender right now, but it's still live because of the NFC East. I haven't decided on the AFC, but I'm narrowing it down right now, and it's between Buffalo and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just, will this Buffalo defense start to improve, or will the Steelers offense start to get better? I know the Steelers defense is there. I know the Buffalo offense is there. It's which of those opposite units will improve. Back to this game. The problem with Vegas is simple. They can't stop anybody. When you're 31 in NFL in value over average, you're not going to cover a lot of football games, and you're going to win even less. That's why if you've seen their ATS margin is so up and down. Against the Saints, they outperformed the market by 2 touchdowns, then come back last week and underperformed by double digits or 9 points. That's what you get from an inconsistent team. Well, on the flip side with Buffalo, they've been right there, right near the number. They haven't outperformed. They haven't underperformed. They haven't played their best football yet, and they're still 3-0. That's continuity from last year. This team is just ready to keep taking steps forward. Don't look to fade them yet. Look to fade them next week, October 11th. Why? Because they have Kansas City at home on deck. That's their big game. This one, they want to win this one. Next week against Tennessee, you may catch them looking ahead. But I like them here against Vegas. Vegas got their win on Monday Night Football at home. I don't think they do it twice. I bet Buffalo on the money line. I'll use -3 as the best bet. But just so you know, I released it to subscribers on the money line. I bet it on the money line just because if Pinnacle had -2.5, -25, and why would I do that when I could get it at the money line when I think it was like 150 at that point? Earlier in the week, they're a lot lower. So that's what I did. I'm on Buffalo, graded at -3 or what have you, but just so you know, that's how we bet it.
All right, Marco. I hate going head-to-head with either one of you guys. I'm curious to hear who your best bet is for NFL Week 4.
Well, Kelly, I'm on a game all by myself, so you don't have to worry about that. And we've been good with these best bets. 3 weeks in, we've got 2 wins and a push, and we're going to keep it going. We're going to look here this week. We're going to go to the Indianapolis Colts. Chicago Bears fans, you've got what you wanted. Bench Mitchell Trubisky. Well, you got your wish. It happened. And you're 3-0 when you get Nick Foles as your quarterback. We all thought it was a matter of time before Nick Foles won the job from Trubisky, but we never would have thought he would have got the job when the Bears are 3-0. We would have thought that maybe they would have been 0-3 and then they would have pulled the plug. But this is a team that's 3-0, and as my buddy Gianni would say, the Chicago Bears are as phony as a $3 bill as 3-0 teams go. And Vegas is telling you that. You've got a 2-1 team as a road favorite of 2.5 to a 3-0 undefeated home underdog. That tells you everything you need to know as far as Vegas is looking at this game. Indianapolis is for real. You look at Chicago's 3 wins, they are all counterfeit. They had the come from behind win against the Lions in week 1. What happened in that game? Well, the Lions lost 3 guys in the secondary during the game and blew a big fourth quarter lead. In week 2, they were life and death against the Giants. The same Giants that got steamrolled last week by an injury-riddled 49er team. And then last week, they came from the miracle grave against Atlanta. They played an Atlanta team that has a horrible defense. Nick Foles comes in the game and has nothing to lose. They're getting buried. And he's facing a bad defense. Not only was he facing a bad defense, but he faced the bad defense that went into the prevent defense. I mean, just let him go up and down the field. Nick Foles looked like a god in that fourth quarter. Ain't going to happen against this Indianapolis team. Indianapolis has been solid all year. They've held their teams down. The Colts defense has allowed just 676 total yards in 3 games. Think about that for a moment. In a season where everybody is going up and down the field, the Indianapolis Colts have only allowed 676 yards in 3 games. I'm taking Indianapolis, and please, Phillip Rivers, don't throw any interceptions. That's the only thing that could wreck this. We've got Indianapolis. They were one of our best bets that got us the money 2 weeks ago. We're back on them. Send it in. Indianapolis Colts, 27-17 is my best bet.
All right, we're going to We're going to take our last commercial break. And when we return, I'm going to wrap up everybody's plays for the entire Bet On It show.
Want up-to-the-minute scores and odds direct from Las Vegas? Then check out our Wager Talk odds page. You'll get all the latest lines along with moves as they happen from all the biggest books in Las Vegas, including Westgate Superbook, Circa, Golden Nugget, Wynn, Stations, CG, and South Point, just to name a few. Best of all, it's absolutely free.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Time to recap everyone's plays. Let's start with VR. We'll start with his Thursday night. He's going to pass on Thursday night. That's right. He already played the Jets +3. That line's obviously no longer available, so he says leave this one alone. Sunday night, he leans towards the Eagles if you can get them at 7 or better. We know that there's a couple of 7.5 floating around out there. Then we'll go into his his teaser play. That's the Jets +7, Kansas City down to 0.5. His steam play was the Chargers at 7.5. We know this one's already down to 7. Maybe kind of hang tight and see if it goes back to 7 in some of those other shops before kickoff. We know that the Bucs are going to get a lot of love come Sunday. VR's barking dog, which I also really like here, is the Dolphins +6.5. And he and I are head to head on best bets. He has the Bills -3. Marco, we'll switch over to him here. Marco's got the Jets +1 as his lean, and he will be using the Eagles in a couple of these, but particularly a Sunday night barking dog, and that's the way he likes this one. His teaser is Bucs -6.5, Chiefs -1. I hope he's wrong there. No offense, Marco. I got to have this Bucs team go under the season win total somewhere, somehow. But I do really love Marco's trap game of the week. Who the hell are the Cleveland? They might as well be Cleveland. The Cincinnati Bengals to be laying 3 to anyone. And Marco's best bet has me really intrigued. I had the Bears written down, but he says they are a bigger fraud than anyone. Colts -2.5 is his best bet. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this afternoon, this evening, whichever coast you're on. Every single week, we are here giving you our hot takes and the NFL. Good luck to you guys all at home for NFL week number 4.